Okay, so we have started the webinar.
Christina was going to be late, right?
Yeah. She said she will try to get in if she can. How are you, Pat?
I'm very well, thank you. I just got in like just enough time to be on this thing.
Oh, you're in Columbus now?
I made it, yes. I'm in Johnstown, yes. I'm back home.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah. Reasonably uneventful travel, but a beautiful day for a drive.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
did send that email you sent me to Shuchi.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I left North Carolina about 5:30 this morning. So,
Wow.
but it was a beautiful day for a drive. I love driving.
Now, are you here for good?
I can teach anywhere now. So I just go.
That's good.
My boys didn't seem to miss me. They're still alive.
Oh, God. How old are they?
Oh, I'm talking about my husband. We'll be married
Oh.
29 years this year, and then I have a 26-year-old.
Oh, okay.
The little one went to Washington to be part of the Navy, but he's there. He and his wife are out in Washington. My children are grown, so
Ah, okay. Okay.
this was freedom for me.
Hmm.
I would love this recording, if I may.
Oh, she's recording everything, actually.
That's wonderful.
So you don't need to worry about it.
How many are registered, Suchi?
We have around 46 registration, Kura, for the whole webinar series. We are still waiting for some attendees to join. So it's already 6:35. So I would say let's go and kick off our program with a welcome speech and the objective of organizing this 5 days webinar series. So welcome everyone on day 4 of our 5 days webinar series presented by Ohio Asian American Health Coalition and funded by Ohio Commission of Minority Health. Before we start this webinar, I would like to mention some house rule. This is a webinar format, so your videos are on off and your audio is on mute, but feel free to post your question and answers in the chat box. If any one of you have any questions which you would like to ask directly from our panelists, please raise your hand and we will allow you to speak and ask question directly to our panelists at the end. So the title for today's presentation is Education on Mental Health, Coping Strategies, and Self-Care Strategies. So this is a 5 days webinar series program which Ohio Asian American Health Coalition has organized in order to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month 2021. So basically this, just give me a second, I haven't changed my slide. So we celebrate this period in the duration or for the month of the whole May to recognize the contribution and influence of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. So good evening, everyone. My name is Shuchi Kirk, and today I am representing Asian Community Alliance. It is one of the member organization for Ohio Asian Health Coalition. So I would like to take a minute and would like you to introduce ACA and what kind of services and programs we do in the area of Greater Cincinnati. So ACA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to educate, empower, inspire, and create healthy Asian families and communities in the Greater Cincinnati. So we have various kinds of programs or the areas where we work for Asian population. Majority, we focus on the mental health, aging, domestic violence, intergenerational community, and family dependencies. If you have any query or any questions, feel free to write us at info@asiancommunityalliance.org. So today we have Chandra Prasad, one of the ACA board members as well on this webinar series. So moving forward, we have 3 panelists today, wonderful panelists today, Cora Munoz, Manju Sankarapa, and Patch, who will be touching the areas and the most critical areas and the importance of mental health coping strategies and the power of breath. So Patch will also demonstrate live how to breathe more effectively and more calmly and peacefully. But we will kick off our program with Cora Munoz, and I believe most of you already know her. I will go and try to read and will do justice with her bio. So I try to compile his bio in less words, but that is really impossible for me to do that. So Dr. Cora Munoz is a professor and adjunct professor at Capital University. She is an author, academic scholar, consultant, national and international speaker, Fulbright scholar, diversity trainer, health advocate, and community worker. How a one person could handle so many credentials, that's so impressive. Her clinical specialty is psychiatric mental health and transcultural nursing with expertise in cultural competence, education, and teaching nursing. She is currently the president of the Ohio Asian American Health Coalition. She has served for many years as the governor appointed commissioner and served as vice chair of the Ohio Commission on Minority Health. She's also a member of the Asian American Pacific Islander Advisory Council to the governor, where she has served as chairperson of the Health Committee. In 2020, she was appointed by the governor to serve in Minority Health COVID-19 Strike Force and was the only Asian and the only RN represented in the Strike Force work group. She is currently the president of the Asian Festival Corporation and coordinated health screenings and health education and community outreach of the Asian community. She was the founder of the Philippine Nurse Association of Indiana and Philippine Nurse Association of Central Ohio, in which she is current board member in good standing. So Dr. Kura Munoz, now stage is yours. Go ahead and give your insights on this important topic.
Allow me, Suchi.
Yeah, okay, give me a second, I think. Okay.
Okay.
Unless,
I
go
just,
ahead.
I
Yeah.
just want to mention, Suchi, really the most important, as far as I'm concerned, most important information that you've shared is the fact that I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse, and my interest and expertise also is transcultural nursing. Therefore, talking about mental health challenges in the Asian community is for me very important, and I'm passionate about it. And I really know that if only people have an awareness of the mental health challenges that we see in our friends and our neighbors and our families and people in the workforce, then we'll be able to help. So we're celebrating, as Suchi said, we're celebrating the National AAPI Heritage Month, and I will address the mental health challenges specific in the Asian community. So a bit of demographics, okay. And I'm going to add a little bit more updated information. In the United States, actually, the Asian Americans are the fastest growing racial demographic. And now we have a population of nearly 24 million, or 7.3% of the nation's total population, really growing fast. And in Ohio, the Asian Americans grew by 97% between 2000 and 2020 to approximately 330,000 today. So what I have on the slide really has already dramatically increased. And like I said, Asians are the fastest growing racial demographic in the United States. Just a broad comment about mental health challenges and mental health facts in the world. Okay. 450 million people worldwide have mental health problems. So more than 1 in every 16. This is a 2012 information, so we know that that has actually grown. So 1 in every 16 individual in the world experiences a mental health problem. 5 to 10% of the population suffer from clinical depression at any given time. And I'll talk about depression in the Asian community as far as prevalence, because depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide and will be the single biggest medical burden on healthcare by 2020. So there are also issues about suicide, and 1 in 10 people with schizophrenia die by suicide, and 1 in 5 with bipolar disorder die by suicide. So unemployment, it affects our employment, it affects our every aspect of life. All of this mental health disorders that impact all aspects of life. And somehow it does not have the same focus as compared to physical illness. And we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So this is just a broad, an overview of incidents worldwide. And the youth are particularly noteworthy in terms of the increasing number of young people who are experiencing mental health disorders. 49.5% of adolescents met criteria for mental health disorders and various disorders, and severe impairment, about 22.2% of this adolescents are classified as exhibiting severe impairment or distress, such as mood disorders, anxiety disorders, and behavior disorders. So we really need to pay attention to not only the youth, but everyone, especially now with what's going on in this pandemic, and I will address that as well. Okay. So this is a report from the National Association of Mentally Ill in 2021. They're using the 6.1% population of Asian American Pacific Islander, which we know has already grown. But given if it's 6.1%, 15% of those reported having mental illness in the past year. So 50%, which is about 3 million people. The takeaway in this slide really is that the Asian Americans are 3 times less likely to seek mental health services than all other Americans. They're less likely. And why is that? Okay. There are several factors that contribute to that reality. 3 times less likely to seek mental health services, when we know that when you seek mental health services, especially at an early stage of the symptoms, then recovery really is more effective. Okay. But when the treatment is delayed, then the recovery is delayed as well. So there's several cultural considerations for us Asians. And as I talk about all of these factors, I just want to point out that I will be talking in general. Okay, when I talk about health beliefs and worldviews, okay, I will talk in general about Asian population, knowing very well that there are more differences within groups than amongst groups. In other words, when we look at Asians in general, of all these different countries, so diverse, with different languages, different belief system, but then there are also commonalities, and that's what I will be addressing. The commonality, okay? Just don't forget that there are unique differences within those groups as well. So the cultural beliefs and practices, and how we define illness. What does it mean when you say you're healthy? What does that mean? Is that the same as what, you know, other population define it? Well, the Asian definition of health and illness may be different, which I will address. Of language diversity, you know, if there is differences in language, we can speak with each other, actually, even if we're all Asians. I don't speak Japanese, I don't speak Chinese. So language in itself separates us, okay? And that is a barrier in itself, okay? Stigmatization is a big issue, and as far as seeking treatment, okay? Stigma on mental illness and mental health disorders happens in all societies in the world. There's always that negative connotation, negative association when one has mental health disorders. But the stigmatization in the Asian population seemed to be a little bit more emphasized and exaggerated. And I'll explain that. So cultural values, we value family. Of course, a lot of other groups and, you know, do value family. Okay, the Italians, you know, and a lot of groups. But for Asians, family is not just a nuclear family. We are not just talking about mother, father, and siblings. When we define family, it's usually extended family. So it is not unusual to have a grandparent in the home, okay? Or to have mother-in-law, father-in-law on both sides at home. It's intergenerational, and it is extended, okay? But that is not necessarily a negative thing, okay? Because there is an inherent support within that family for the most part. There can also be tension, as we know, but for the most part, an extended family structure actually provides support. So the Asians generally, okay, respect authority. So physicians and teachers, okay, they're well respected. And of course, the elderly are elderly that we would want to take care of in our homes as much as we can. And so a nursing home placement is there, but it's not the top decision-making factor. Okay? We value education, and we all know that there's a very high rate of educated Asians, not only college, but beyond college. That's really highly, highly valued. Harmony and balance is another cultural value. We want to maintain balance in our lives. The yin and the yang you've heard of, okay? It's always maintaining balance, and then harmony, peace, not disruption, but being able to work things out together, okay? And so this is really a very positive value, especially when we have to balance work and school and family and a lot of other aspects that really can overwhelm us. But when this happens to us and it increases stress, there is that practice of, maintaining a balance, maintaining a chi, which is, a balance of good and bad, black and white, and really overall maintaining harmony. And we appreciate wisdom, the wisdom especially of the elderly and those of authority. And how we see the world is different from other groups in that generally Asians are very group oriented and versus individualistic of other groups. Other groups focus on the individual. The Asians in general do look at the world in terms of groupness and family and cooperation and collaboration. So these are some of the general values of our population. Our communication patterns is highly contextual. Why is this important? Because when we deal with mental health, we use really communication and interpersonal dialogue to understand what's going on. And so it's important for us to acknowledge that for Asians generally, the communication pattern is highly contextual, meaning it's formal, and it is reliant on hierarchy. The parents, the grandparents, before you go on to the younger generation. And it's rooted in the past. We acknowledge our ancestors, okay? Change is slow, and there's stability for group members. Another practice, cultural practice, is really using what's considered alternative or complementary practices. I had an opportunity 4 times to visit China and really have studied the traditional Chinese medicine, and herbals and botanicals and acupuncture very much part of our healing practice. Okay. The mental health significance. You can read all of this, but the whole point here is that there is an increasing incidence of depression, suicide, and even drug abuse and drug use amongst Asian population as we have moved on to this period of pandemic. And it is quite alarming. And we know even when this is resolved, we will be experiencing heightened prevalence of mental health problems. And this is what I'm talking about. Our communities of color have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. And for Asians, I want to highlight the fact that what's going on with the anti-Asian racism and xenophobia has really impacted very negatively and has influenced the mental health of our community. Okay. There is an epidemic of loneliness in this country, and this is not new, and it will continue. We have post-traumatic stress from previous historical experiences, and now we find ourselves experiencing this stress of the pandemic and additional anti-Asian violence and hate. So this is some example. We need to be resilient. It really is the process of bouncing back from difficult life experiences. So we need to understand that we can, in fact, learn how to be resilient. And I know Manju, I think, will touch on this as well, but there's a neuroscience behind resiliency. And it really basically is for us to be able to handle stress, and it can be learned. And there's chemical changes in the brain that gives us the ability to be resilient. I want to point out this list that the American Psychological Association actually has put together for us to promote mental health. So make connections, make relationships. Even in this virtual world, we can. We all have so many virtual meetings. And before and after meetings, usually we do socialize, so to speak, virtually. And for me, that is very reassuring, and it's really good connections, even if it's virtual. Okay. Accept the fact that change is part of life. And we move towards our goals, set goals that are attainable, small goals. Okay. Look for opportunities for self-discovery. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the comments that people have discovered in themselves during this pandemic. Keep things in perspective, maintain a hopeful outlook, and more importantly, take care of yourself. And that's what Manju will be talking about. And then Pat will also walk us through the strategies for self-care. I want to point out that having a gratitude list is also contributing to resiliency. Be thankful. Be thankful for all that's happening with us, even if it's a subtle and a small situation. Just be appreciative and be thankful. That contributes to resiliency. Some people commented during this COVID, some of the things that they've experienced and has changed during this isolation and quarantine. And I quote from some of these comments, and it says, the situation made me realize who my true friends are. How are you means something new to me now. It's not just perfunctory. How are you really? Are you okay? Are you safe, right? And now I'm truly focused on the present. Every morning, I'm grateful that my family and friends are healthy. Money is indeed important, but the pandemic has taught me how little we actually need to have a fulfilling life. It's not the money. I've learned to cherish things that I took for granted earlier. Now I see that nature can easily exist without man, but man couldn't last very long without nature, which is a humbling revelation. Okay. We know that mental health challenges, are very difficult to deal with. The stigmatization in the Asian community is exaggerated and is even heightened. There is fear and there is also denial. But the stigmatization goes back to ancestors. It's not that you have mental illness and you are, quote, crazy. You have mental illness, and not only are you crazy, your parents are, your grandparents are, and your parents' parents are. That's how we attribute it. So it's a different way of looking at it. But being resilient is looking at it, the positive side, and not to be positively toxic, but to be realistic and positive that things will change and you can change it. One of the things that we'll be offering is a mental health first aid training actually tomorrow. And this is one way to really address the mental health challenges for us Asians as well as for everybody. So this training is open. Okay. It will offer you to develop skills to be able to help others, people around us. people around, especially those with language issues, those with cultural issues, and we as Asian can help others because we will have an understanding of their cultural nuances and values and beliefs that we can help others. And lastly, the vision for us is to have a mental health that is valued, that is promoted, and that the mental disorders should be prevented so that everyone can exercise the full range of human rights, and that to access high quality and culturally appropriate services, and to attain the highest possible level of health, and to participate fully in society and at work, free from stigmatization and discrimination. And I thank you.
Thank you, Cora. Thank you so much for the great presentation and insights. So now we will move to our another panelist, Manju Sankrapa. Let me take some time to introduce her. And before that, I would like to also mention the names of our other partner organizations, which I forgot when I was introducing ACN and other partner organizations. So the other partner organizations, which we really want to thankful, are Asian American Community Service Council, Asian American Community Services Columbus, Asian Festival Corporation, Law Volunteer Donation Association Organization, Bhutanese Community of Central Ohio, Asian Community Alliance Cincinnati, Asian American Council of Dayton, Asian Service in Action, and Chinese Association of Greater Toledo. Along with that, I would also like to remind you that Yasin has post evaluation link in the chat box. Once we are done with all our speakers, please take some time to fill up the evaluation form. That is really very important for our reporting in order to report the webinar reporting to our funders, and that it also help us to improvise our programs in future. So let's move to Manju, and so she is executive director at Ohio Asian American Health Coalition. So she's serving Asian American and Pacific Islander community in the state of Ohio. Manju strives to eliminate social inequities that contribute to disparities in the quality of life of Ohio's Asian American and Pacific Islanders through community research, education, and advocacy. As executive director, Manju's responsibility is to improve the quality of life of Ohio Asian American and Pacific Islander that influences the policy, mobilizes communities, and strengthens programs and organizations, which is really a critical part of the community service and for the healthy Asian communities in the state of Ohio. Manju has worked in senior management position in community-based and philanthropic organizations, nonprofit organization, and corporate America throughout her 30 years of career. She has worked in healthcare strategies to develop a prescription for care program for the underinsured and uninsured population of Franklin County and physicians clinics in Central Ohio. Serving on the management team of one of the large health insurance carriers in Ohio, Manju understands the effect of people not having access to health insurance, its impacts on individual and society. So she will cover the coping strategies. So Manju, go ahead and give your insights.
Everyone, can they hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Now that Cora has really covered a lot of information in this presentation, and I do want to thank her for also going over the resiliency and some of the issues that happens as a result of mental health. And we have to come through all those pandemic we had. We have, I believe, as human beings, in the past 1 year, we have learned a lot how to cope with the mental health strategies, because that's one of the traits of human beings. We can understand, we can learn, and we can change. That's what the resilience is. We can quickly come back and go through the difficult process and ability to spring back into action, shape, and start uh, accepting what's going on. And that is the one of the traits of the humans. So we are able to do it. We have all changed quite a bit in the last 1 year. I remember in 2020 when we did this presentation, myself, Cora, and Pat, we did the same thing. However, from there, I was trying to go back and see what we talked about at that time versus what we are going to be talking about now. There is a lot of changes that has gone through. People understand what is being under stress. People understand how to cope with it, how to make yourself start thinking about the things rather than feeling bad because you have to live through the isolation. And people also have understood that living in isolation is increases the stress and anxiety. However, it also gives the um, capability of coping with the stress in a healthy way will make you the people you care about and those you become more resilient. Because of that, we have to kind of change our lifestyle, lifestyle behavior, and also understanding people. One of the things Cora said that's really important is saying thank you. It's a simple, kind thing. When you say thank you to somebody, it really means a lot. There were times when you used to say, how are you? And it really didn't matter because you'll say, how are you? And you don't even listen what they tell you. Now, when I ask somebody, how are you? I really pay attention. I mean, I'm talking about myself, really. Okay, I pay attention. Being an Indian, Asian Indian, believe me, right now, I make at least 10 calls every single day. I live here, they live in India, but I make calls to make sure they're all doing okay. They're not, as the pandemic has increased in India, and we are worried about it. And we are worried about the people here too, because, when you see what's going on, it was all fine for almost 6 months. Suddenly it started spiking. Now, only 2 days ago, Governor Devine actually, kind of lifted some of those things. Now I'm worried about here. Am I going to start going out without the mask? Am I going to go closer to people? So these are the things we learned. Nobody has to tell us. Okay, that's what learning. That's what's going to be our information. One second, please. Sorry, I forgot to get my slides up. So during the strategies for healing and promoting the wellness, we worry about certain things. We worry about how our loved ones are doing, how our financial situation is, and also loss of support that we might be experiencing during this period. As a result of this, since our brain is working so hard, it changes our sleeping pattern. I do not know whether any of you have experienced it. I have, believe me. I kind of go to bed and then I start thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow. And sometimes I get up early in the morning to make sure I get it done because I'm so afraid of not being able to get it done. And that's really important. And if you have a chronic health conditions, you will be worried about it because you do not know with the pandemic, is it going to be worse or can I live the way I did and still live with my current situation? And also there is one more thing, which is mental health conditions. We never really, I have talked to Cora all the time. I have gone through classes, but I never thought I'll be worried so much about the mental health condition. It affects children, it affects parents. You know, kids cannot go to school. So very recently, I heard teachers talking about because the kids don't go to schools, they have lost their social connection. You know, for them, once in a while, getting them together is a great thing because they really, everybody likes socializing just like we do. And we have to continue to do that. And we have to respond to stress during COVID-19 pandemic will be based on your background, your social support from family or friends, your financial situation, health and emotional background, community you live in, and many other factors. The changes that can happen because the COVID pandemic and the ways we try to contain the spread of the virus can affect anyone. And that's one of the things we have to worry about. And tools for coping mental health challenges are taking care of your friends and your family can be a stress reliever. You know, you don't have to do anything for them. Just call and ask them, hey, how are you doing today? Is everything okay with you? You know, it's not like they're expecting a lot of things, but just that one little phone call and to let them know that you care for them and you're thinking of them. So that's a small thing you can do. And also, sometimes during the stress, you can do things that you did all the time, but you never thought that you were doing it. Like one of the things I am part of is also a book club. You know, I never thought of anything. It's a book club, so I read the book and I go do presentation, and it would be so much. You know, it was good. But now when we do the book club, we think about it. Where do we want to sit and do it? We don't want to go to each other's house. So we sit in a outside and we do the book club. And we didn't have to do that. But we are all getting together and still doing the same thing. We keep up with social distancing and we are still maintaining our social connections and care for the mental health. One of the things that has really, really helped us is the video chats. You know, we never thought we were going to use this much video chats. I was watching TV last night and they were talking about how New York City closed up all their entertainment center overnight. So dancers didn't have anywhere to dance. Musicians didn't have anywhere to sing the music. And so what they started doing, they started using the driveway. They started using the streets. So, and then they used a Zoom call to come up with a play. And they are so glad they came up with the play because they're going to continue to do the same thing now. Plus, as they're opening, they feel, oh, we have a hope now rather than just worrying about we did not have anything. Know what to do if you are sick and are concerned about COVID-19. As we all got, I'm just saying all, I think most of you that I know have already received the vaccination. If not, they're in the process of receiving vaccination. So what happens now? No, I just saw a guy who came to give me a proposal. He came, you know, he was in the driveway. I go out and he goes, well, I'm fully vaccinated, you know, and we're like, oh, good, we are vaccinated too. So it's like a topic now. You know, we never talked about it before. And then we always said, how many people does not want to get vaccination? However, it's almost becoming our responsibility to make sure we do get more vaccinations and we push for more people to get the vaccination done. I'll tell you one of the story I can tell you with permission from Cora. Cora told me last month, I believe she was in Columbus, and she went to her hairdresser. Her hairdresser is Cambodian. And she told Cora that she didn't want to get vaccination. Cora spent almost 1 hour trying to convince her. And that lady still didn't want it. So what do? You know, in a situation like that, we have to accept the fact, but we have to still tell them, hey, I know you don't understand why you need it, but we feel you should really have it. it will be good for you. It will be good for us. It's not just for your sake. So, it's just that we are trying to learn all these things, which we did not have before. And we have to take care of our emotional health. So we have to think clearly and react to the urgent needs and protect ourselves and the families. Okay, it's really important. As we have little children, like it really makes a big difference how we talk to them, make them do certain things. Otherwise, it's really hard. I have experience because my daughter and son-in-law live with us right now, like Cora said. So, we love that. We love the situation when my grandbaby comes and says, Grandma, good morning. Come and get me milk. It's all little things which we never thought. She's just 4 years old, but we love it. Okay. And I know Cora loves it. I know all of you who has kids love having those things. So we have to kind of be thankful for all the things we have and say thank you. Now healthy ways to cope with stress: take deep breaths, stretch, meditate. Patty is going to do a great job with the next one, and she's a lifestyle coach, so she's going to do a great job. Exercise regularly, get plenty of sleep, avoid alcohol and drug usage. Okay. And now I'll tell you, exercise regularly is so important because my husband literally went into a fit because he could not go for exercise. For 3 months, I had told him, no, you can't go to the spa because you don't know how people are. You are good, you wear mask, but they don't. You don't know that. So I told him about 2 weeks ago, I went to the spa, checked out everything, and then I came home and told him, you can go from now on, but you can't take a shower there. You have to come home and take a shower because he's mine. I can say those things. I told him. And now he goes every day, but he doesn't take a shower there because I'm just afraid. You do not know the conditions. They say they all are keeping, really safe and clean, but I am just afraid that may not be enough because he's much older than the other people. Younger people don't have the same sense as older people. They don't think they're affecting anything. Okay. And some of the concepts of self-care plan, I'm going to just briefly touch base. There are 6 domains to brainstorm with: people, program, activities for self-care plan. And these are all in different domains. So as you're thinking about your self-care plan, which is very important, everybody needs that self-care. We cannot be running around doing things all the time. So you need to think about all those things. And they are intellectual, emotional, environmental, physical, occupational, community, financial, and spiritual. You know, we need all these things. So we all need to think about it. Even as friends, maybe if you are a good friend, you can call them and say, hey, I'm thinking about the environment. Are you interested in being a part of it? And that would really help also because when you have more than one person thinking about it, you get more ideas to better yourself. So I really think that's very important. And make time to unwind, connect with others, connect with community and faith-based organizations. And as some of you probably are aware of it, actually we had 3 events today, 2 of them for AAPI hate crime, and that was a walk. There were like 3 different parks, they arranged it, and there were a lot of people gathered in Columbus. And then the next one was Asian Indian students. They did a fundraiser for India to send oxygen. Okay. See, young students would not have done it in the past, but now they're thinking, though they're born and brought up in this country, they're still thinking, they're going through the social media and they're trying to do all these things. So which makes me very proud of them because nobody really told them to do it. They themselves called and said, hey, Auntie, can we do this? I'm like, of course, you can do it. And they said, can you come over this morning to the park, Liberty Park. Okay, so Cora, I did go to Liberty Park today to encourage them, and then they had about 200 kids that walked 5K and then collected the money and sent the oxygen concentrators to India. So I'm really proud of them. So these are all the positive things that has come out of COVID-19 experience. And I want to make sure we keep up with this positive things that has COVID-19 has brought up in all of us, not just some of us, all of us. People are more, aware of what the things are, what the people are, and we have to be careful and make sure that we, in turn, think about the future of hopeful and happier future with people getting vaccinated. If you know anybody who is not vaccinated, please let us know. We will go get them and make sure we get the vaccinations for them. We want you all to be part of our Ohio Asian American Health Coalition, plus more, because we have some strategies we are able to work with people to get the vaccination going to. Thank you. Next one is going to be Patch.
Thanks, Manju.
Mhm.
Thanks for your insights. So our next presenter is Patch. So I believe you guys can see my screen. So Patch, I'm really excited for your Power of Breath session, which will be demonstrated live. But before that, let's go through your short bio. So Patch is a founder and president of the Patchwork, a global digital business solutions group of companies that provide systems, structures, and strategies for digital branding and marketing solutions. We really need that power of breath in this digitization world. I certainly believe that. Creator and developer of Rock Power of the Breath, a restorative, relaxation, and rejuvenation practice of yoga juxtaposed to scripture. Author of Rock Power of the Breath, the Foundation of Rest. Presidential member of the American Association of Christian Counselors. Holds degree on International Humanities from the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, and Hotel and Restaurant Management and Administration from Les Roches Global University in Valais, Switzerland. Group fitness instructor and lecture on restorative and contemplating yoga. Teaches stress mastery, identification for elimination at the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center. Associate of Integrative Holistic Healthcare. She resides in Johnstown, Ohio, and has been married for 29 years to one she calls her much, much better half. That's a great thing. Okay. So from here, Patch, I will ask you to kick off and explain what is this rock equals to Raj, breath, spirit, wind.
Thank you so much, Rishi. So there was a lot of information given to you guys today. So I want everybody to just unplug right now, option to close your eyes. Let's do what this rock breath is. So rock is the homophone of ruach, which is Hebrew. It means breath, spirit, or wind. So for our purposes, we'll just call it rock. So this rock breath is, let's go ahead and have everybody put their lips together and breathe in through their noses. Nice, deep, long breath. You feel that cold air come in. And then when you're ready, exhale, release through the mouth or nose. Let's do that again. Lips together, breathe in. And then exhale through mouth or nose. If you are exhaling and inhaling through your nose, you can get lightheaded. I just wanted to warn you about that. So go ahead and breathe in again. Breathe in through your nose. Exhale through mouth or nose. And let's slow it down a lot more. Place your lips together, breathe in. Count that breath as it comes in, 2, 3, 4, 5, however deep, and then exhale, release, 2, 3, 4, 5. whatever works for you. Just go ahead and keep breathing at your own pace. This breath should be working for you now. Some people say that they feel a like awareness on the crowns of their heads. Some people say they feel it behind their eyes. Some people feel it behind their ears. But just go ahead and find your own pace in breathing this rock breath in through your nose and exhale through mouth or nose. It's called rock because it's the foundation of rest. Your breath, the power of your breath is your foundation of rest. So find your own pace. As you find this breath working for you, I want you to start paying attention to the pieces and parts of your body where you can feel an awareness, a tingling brought about by this awareness of breath. And then with your next inhale, as you breathe it all the way in, count that breath in 2, 3, 4, or 5 or 6 counts, whatever. Option to hold the breath for 1 count before you exhale. However way you release that breath through your nose or mouth, 1 count longer than the inhale. So make these purposeful breaths. Breathe in through the nose only. Exhale through mouth or nose. Again, breathe in through the nose. Option to hold the breath for 1 count. Option to exhale 1 count longer than the inhale. And the reason I'm having you inhale through your nose only is because if you pull the breath in through your mouth, you can easily hyperventilate. So the rock breath was specifically designed to be breathed in only through your nose. So at this point, some people will feel the tightness that stress brings. They say it's on their neck. Some people say that it's in their shoulders. And then some people say it's in their lower back. So we cannot see you. So at any point, as you're taking this breath in through your noses and exhale through mouth or nose, you can incorporate some movement. You can drop your chin to the chest. Inhale, lift up. So it's 1 breath, 1 movement. Exhale, chin to chest, keeping your spine straight. Inhale, lift up. Let's shift that around this time, coming to center and then chin over 1 shoulder. Nice long sweep, nice and slow. Take your time. Exhale, 1 breath, 1 movement. Inhale, chin over 1 shoulder. Exhale, 2nd side. Coming to center, breathe and rest and relax. At this point, if you want to clench and unclench your fists, get some movement in there. I believe so much in this practice that it can reverse the signs of aging simply because you are impeding and stressing blood flow, right? So you can feel that when you're squeezing your palms and your fists. Your next breath, let's go ahead and add a different dimension as you breathe in. Option to count the breath, option to hold the breath, option to count 1 count longer than on the exhale. But this time when you exhale, you sigh that breath out. Or if you want, blow that breath out to empty your lungs completely. Breathe in through the nose only. Exhale through mouth or nose. Your next breath, drop 1 ear to 1 shoulder. Feel that stretch. And then on the movement, exhale, windshield wipers. Next breath, inhale, 1 breath, 1 movement. Exhale, 2nd side. Coming to center, breathe, relax. Again, feel free to clench. Feel free to shake, feel free to roll your shoulders, but keep paying attention to how you're breathing that breath in and then exhale through your mouth or nose. So finding what's good. Wherever you are with this practice, and it's called practice for a reason, you can now incorporate a twist. So Turning your torso to one side. Exhale to the other. One breath, one movement. Breathe in. Exhale. So you can do this sitting, standing, right? You can even do it when you're seated on the floor. There's all these different practices that you can do with this breath. I'm just giving you ideas of what you can do with this breath. Now, if you've closed your eyes, go ahead and open your eyes and let me give you a little bit of the science behind that. So it's called, like you heard me say, it's called rock breath because it's a foundation. It's solid, it's strong. Not very many people think about, controlling their breath, but magic happens when you do. In fact, this is a way to increase mental acuity, to sharpen your mind a little bit. It's even used for pain management. They use it as a coping mechanism. And then you can do this at any time. In fact, it's a practice that I would encourage that you do either in the top or the bottom of the hour. You just move and stretch, get some movement in, get some circulation in. So if we had more time and if you were actually part of my class, I would show you a picture of me when I was 35 and very unhealthy to me turning 54 a couple of weeks ago, and I look younger now. And there are people in this panel who would attest to that, Cora Munoz and Manju Sankarapu, who have known me so many years. So this breath, when we start wielding the power of this breath, so you can keep on doing your breathing if that helps you as you just listen to me. When you start wielding the power of this breath, it teaches you and allows you to slow down time. And what this does is it prevents us from reacting. It allows us to assess situations and events and the variables within those events, especially during fight or flight situations. But it's a few seconds and you can actually allow time to slow down so that you can do a couple of things. So that would be bringing self-awareness, giving you a little bit of a break mentally. And then in assessing the situation, I'm going to show you, Shushi, could you please show the slide on the mind always decides first. So in our practice, we talk about the mind always decides first. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you cannot, you're absolutely right. So I want to teach you two words, stop and wait. So stop is simple. S stands for stop. T is to take a breath. This is the rock breath. Lips together, breathe in through the nose only. So not to hyperventilate. Exhale through mouth or nose and do whatever variations I just went over with you with. So that you take that amazing, powerful breath, because your breath is your peace and your peace is your power, right? The O stands for observe. So looking at any given situation, event, or anything else thrown in between there is asking yourself, what do I not know? What do I not see? What do I not understand? Or the vice versa of that. What do I know? What do I see? What do I understand in a given situation? Before you P, which is proceed. So stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. Just allowing yourself a stopgap measure so that you can wait. Again, stressing on the pause because there's power in that. And wait stands for what am I thinking? So if in any given situation, my friends, that you find yourselves in crises, especially in situations like what's going on in the world right now, you can always come back to your breath. And if the only job is to pay attention to the breath so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can take care of others. You know, the airplane announcement of the pilot, it says you always put your mask first before you can help others, because this what you have is the only body that you'll be given in this lifetime. How you take care of it is how it's going to serve you. So I teach this practice, and it goes all levels. I teach stretching, and I teach mindfulness. I teach restoration, reset, rejuvenation. So meditation and contemplation, just so that we come into a practice of doing this on a regular basis, and so that we can help others as well. So rock now becomes the trigger word, because in the history of calm down, nobody has ever calmed down by being told to calm down. So my rock stars, I thank you for coming to my practice. I hope this helps. Feel free to reach out to me if you need a little bit more tips on this. But thank you so much for this panel, and thank you for Cora and Manju for always trusting me and allowing me to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. That was really interesting and helpful, I would say. I will definitely try to practice this as much as possible in my daily life. Now we can move on to the question and answers. So let me see. Okay. So I would ask all our attendees to post your question and answers in the chat, or raise your hand if you would like to ask a question and answer directly from our panelists. In the meantime, I will go ahead with a question that I have. So I would like to ask, we are moving to the work from home culture, and which seems to be new normal, especially into this digital and the technology industry. And due to this, like, what is the impact on the mental health due to this work from home culture? I personally feel that I am more stressed out comparatively when I was going to the office and meeting people. There is a lack of socialization, there is a lack of bonding, there is a lack of attachment with your work because you're not meeting with your managers. And on the other hand, your whole family is at home, they are working, either they are at school, they are working. So like, what are the best practices we could follow in a longer run to make our mental health state healthy and strong?
Are you directing it to any particular presenter, Suchi, or anybody?
Anyone could take this.
Yeah, I could say some few words to that. That's very true. All of us are experiencing that as well. There are good things that are happening working from home. We don't have to wake up so early to travel. We have our family around us. And then there are also a lot of triggers and tendency to go to the refrigerator, to go to the kitchen a lot, and really not so much to do exercise and on all of that. What is important is to have discipline and to have your own structure. If you're supposed to be working, try to also make it a similar schedule as you can in your home, as much as you can. So if you start at 8 o'clock, then try your best to find a place, maybe a room where you can close the door if you can. Again, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. For me, I've experienced it being here in New York City with my grandchildren, and I had a presentation, and somehow my 2-year-old grandchild was quiet all along and busy, and when I started talking, he wanted the attention. And so I actually, what I did when I knew I was going to have a presentation, I alerted the organizers that there's a possibility that there will be some distractions from my grandchildren, and I'll try to minimize it. And they all say, it's okay, we understand, that's how it is when you work at home. the pets, the children, people understand. And also just to say, you know, I'm trying my best to make my environment as quiet as possible, but that is not always possible. So in other words, you have to be forgiving of yourself as well. So it's a lot of adjustments, and think of the positive side of it. You know, for me, not having to drive and leave early, especially, you know, in New York, my daughter have to get up real early and have a 1-hour commute to work. But if you're at home, that saves you. So think of all the positive things that are happening from working at home. But find yourself, even if you're sitting to exercise and take deep breaths, like Pat's saying, and even if you're in your computer, stretch your legs. I use a special glasses so that it protects my eye and things like that. Those are all what I can address that question.
Thank you so much, Cora. So another question which we have is the things or the strategies being a parent we should follow while raising our kids in this social influence world. So we know that we can't be away from the social media, and the social media has really a very, very strong impact on kids, especially teenagers, and they think that the social media is a realistic world, which is actually not. So like being a parent, I sometimes wonder that how I need to raise my son so that he can understand what exactly, like to divide a line, what is actually realistic and what is actually not realistic, because this has a pretty much strong impact on their mental health. Any one of you could take this.
I was going to say I can take it. So in my practice, we talk about consumption. So consumption is not necessarily just food, but anything and everything that we subject ourselves to. So Manju, when she was doing her presentation earlier, she said something, let me see, what did you say? Something about the brain. You do get to rest, you try to sleep, but then your brain is active. Something goes back to what's called the circadian rhythm. So there was a time when people didn't pay attention to clocks, where you just went by the seasons and, with positioning of the sun in the sky, and then you get your rest that way. Speaking of which, I wanted to put a caveat between sleep and rest being totally different things, because some people do not even get restful sleep, so that they don't get to REM stage, their rapid eye movement stage. People are something about, especially those who are have high consumption of blue light technology from our devices, they have a hard time shutting down. So when we're talking about consumption, it's like, what do we subject ourselves to? Apart from the actual device that you're absorbing this light, you're also absorbing the images and the content in these devices. So what is making news now? The problems with the pandemic, the issues from that, sensationalistic news, even the news media, we're not even sure if we're getting the correct information. And all of this can cause anxiety and stress. And when we allow ourselves, it's that your mind races a million miles a minute. These are environments that we have created for ourselves that took a period of time. We got to this point over time with the industrial age and, giving birth to children and raising them in those environments. In fact, when I was raising my children, who are now in their 20s, it was unheard of to give them an electronic device. Now that's all they know. That's how we keep them quiet. That's how we corral them. That's how we calm them down. And then we are raising, stressed out kids because they need to be doing something all the time. And so these are things that we need to think about and consider. So because we have created this environment, and it took time for us to create this environment, we now need to reverse engineer it and learn to unplug ourselves from that. This is why my practice, I think, is taking the storm that it's taking is because it took a pandemic for us to be able to hone all these awareness things with what we are subjecting ourselves to when we're talking about consumption. And so it's called practice for a reason, because every single time you do it, the circumstances will not be the same. The variables will not be the same. You might not be in the same location. You didn't eat the same food that day. You had totally different activities, but at any given time, you can take your control back by just focusing on breath work, and then progressively increasing those moments of calm and serenity and balance. And, it takes a while, but making that conscious decision daily to be able to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So I always talk to my students about, like, what's the big picture? Because if you have goals and specific objectives, you can always reverse engineer. But if you're going by the moment, we may not be able to get to that point. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Shuchi, another thing is really self-care is extremely important. Okay.
Mhm.
I know we are all stressed, we are overworking, we don't have time to do anything. However, discipline is important. Okay. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't be there to take care of others.
Exactly.
So in your plan as a mother, you make time and say, hey, this is my time to relax. Even if it's 10 minutes of walking outside, it is, because that's one of the things. I hope you'll be attending tomorrow's class. We have a whole chapter about self-care plan, why it's so important, why you need to take time to take care of yourself, your mind, your timing. Because I know kids also learn how to live with parents. It's hard for them, but they will. They have learned this whole year. Kids have learned how to live. Like, Cora says, no, her grandchild, when he comes, she tells him, hey, stay on the side. And he will most of the time. There might be a time when he won't, but that's okay. There is nothing wrong. I really don't think we need to completely shut them up, but I think we need to treat everybody the same. Husband, wife, just let them know you need to take 1 hour off to do something on your own. So that's what's very important, for anybody, for a man or a woman. This is the time we're all adjusting ourselves. Otherwise it cannot happen. We cannot live together properly, in a happy family. So to make a happy family, you just have to sacrifice. You have to talk about things and say, okay, this is how I'm going to change it. So that's what's very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pat and Manju. So now we will move to the proclamation document. So Cora will go ahead and she will read the proclamation, and then we will close today's program.
Thank you.
Shuchi, one announcement I would like you to make. If there are any students, ask them to put them as students. If they're attending, and if they're students, please make sure they tell you in the chat, so at least you don't have to worry about guesswork.
Okay. Thanks, Manju. Thanks for reminding me.
So I'm going to read a proclamation that President Biden has issued for May as the Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Before I do that, just a brief comment on when this started, actually. The AAPI Heritage celebration started as a week celebration in 1979 under President Carter, just to acknowledge the tremendous contributions of Asians to the sciences, the arts, and industry, government, and commerce. And in 1990, President H.W. Bush expanded the celebration to cover the entire month of May. So entire month of May 2021 is National Asian and Pacific Islander Month. And why is it in May? Because May was the date May 7, 1843, was the date that expanded the celebration to cover the whole, 1843 was a date that the first Japanese immigrants arrived in the United States. And in May 10, 1869, was marked the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, which wouldn't have been possible without the contribution of Chinese Americans, as you are all aware of, and they were actually excluded in history. And so this is a special proclamation from our highest elected official, our president, acknowledging our population and our communities. So it starts with this May, during Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we recognize the history and achievements of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders across our nation. In the midst of year of pain and fear, we reflect on the tradition of leadership, resilience, and courage shown by AAN HPI communities, and recommit to the struggle for AAN HPI equity. These communities make our nation more vibrant through diversity of cultures, languages, and religions. There is no single story of the experience, but rather a diversity of contribution that enrich America's culture and society and strengthen the United States' role as a global leader. During this year's Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month, our nation celebrates the achievements of Vice President Harris, the first person of South Asian descent to hold the office of the Vice President. Vice President Harris has blazed a trail and set an example for young people across the country to aspire to follow, including members of the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander communities and women in particular. My administration acknowledges the heightened fear felt by many Asian American communities in the wake of increasing rates of anti-Asian harassment and violence during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the increasingly observable layers of hate now directed towards women and elders of Asian descent in particular. Our nation continues to grieve the senseless killings of 6 women of Asian descent in Atlanta and the unconscionable acts of violence victimizing our beloved Asian American seniors in cities across the country. Acts of anti-Asian bias are wrong, they're un-American, must stop. My administration will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with these communities in condemning, denouncing, and preventing these acts of violence. We will continue to look for opportunities to heal together and fight against the racism and xenophobia that still exist in this country. So Vice President Harris and I affirm that Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders make our nation stronger. I urge my fellow Americans to join us this month in celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander history, people, and cultures. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I call upon the people of the United States to learn more about the history of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, and to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities. Signed, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States. We are so appreciative, grateful of the President, our highest elected official, to really acknowledge, recognize Asians' contribution in all aspects of society of America, and have declared this as the month for AAPI history and arts and culture and all our contributions. And I want to thank all of you for participating in this webinar. I hope you found this informational, educational, and enjoyable as well. I hope that you will use this, particularly what Patch had led us to do, use this daily to take care of ourselves. Okay? What Manju has mentioned as self-care. And remember, mental health challenges is common. Mental health challenges affects all people. And we know that for our Asian community, we deal with mental health challenges differently because stigmatization is much greater in our perception, and that there is denial and there is language barriers and there are cultural nuances that we need to address. But we know that we can do it together, that our communities will be able to handle all the stress that's going on and associated with the pandemic, and that we will be able to handle this crisis and make it an opportunity for growth. So again, on behalf of the Ohio Asian American Health Coalition member organization, our executive board, our executive director, Manju Sankarapa, and all our members, we thank you for participating. I also want to thank the team who had put this together from the seminal idea of what we will to do to celebrate this month to the completion of this webinar series and one more tomorrow. I want to thank Christina Geringer, President of the Filipinos Association of Central Ohio, as one of our team member, Yashuan Lin, who just graduated with a master's degree in public health at Ohio State University, Manju Sankarapa, and Suchi Garg, who really has managed all our technology and facilitating and moderating this evening's webinar so beautifully and so in an exemplary way, Suchi. And thanks, Patch and Manju, for presenting on my behalf. Thank you, everyone. Remember, tomorrow we have our last session, but it will be the mental health first aid training. It needs pre-registration. If you have not pre-registered, that's okay. There will be more opportunities in the future for us to offer it. We need to be able to learn the skills of how to handle mental health challenges, particularly in the Asian community. My name is Cora Munoz, and I thank you so much for your attention. I think we have all the.
Yeah.
Suchi, you're fantastic.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you are. Oh my gosh.
Thank
Very
you. I
smooth.
just tried my best.
Yes, yes, yes. So I saw Christina was able to join us, right?
Yes, she was able to join us, but because of the bad network, she was going in and out.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, good.
Well, thanks again for including me.
Thanks, Patch. Your breathing was really wonderful. I know that is so important, but we
But
generally don't follow.
we don't think, no, here's the funny thing. I teach people how to breathe. I'm going to be a stand-up comedian one day.
No. Like breathing in the right way is really important, and so I just tell you one of the recent, like everyone knows, the pandemic is so bad in India. Like there is a huge gap between the demand and supply. The whole the health infrastructure just collapsed because there is so number of the high number of cases within a day. But like I tell you, the case of my parents, they both got
How are they
COVID
doing?
positive.
How are they
Yeah.
doing?
They are doing well now. They both got COVID positive and their oxygen level dropped to like 91, 92. And 90 is just like the alarming rate. Before 90,
yeah,
below
yeah.
90, you need
Yeah,
oxygen support, either concentrator or either the oxygen cylinders. But we don't have any measures, or like we don't have any backup plan to get the oxygen concentrator or the cylinders. So what doctor told us, there is a prone technique and breathing. So this is the one which literally increase your oxygen level from 91, 92 to 95, 96. As soon as you're feeling that your oxygen level is going down around 90, 91, start proning and start breathing exercise. So my mom, she herself is a yoga teacher. So she knows how to breathe effectively and in the right manner, and which really help both of them not to get dependent on the
Pranayama.
external oxygen
Absolutely.
source. So it's not only about like breathing. We can't live without breathe, but if you breathe in a right way, it will heal most of your internal issues, like the medical issues, I'm saying.
And see, and especially with COVID, the nature of the disease is to calcify within the lungs.
Correct.
But we have a restorative, like our bodies are made to regenerate. So as you breathe, and like I know it's painful, but if you increase lung capacity, it actually breaks that calcification. And then it's just like flushed out. I mean, it's the science. That's the one thing that I truly appreciate with studying this practice, is just the marvel of how our bodies are created, like how on earth, and it fixes itself. It really does. So it's like so that was the one thing with it. I'm glad you mentioned that with the pranayama, with a prone breathing. But secondly, it's like we never think about it. We never think about breathing, but the magic happens when you actually like
Okay. So you
out of the breath and situations and events. Yes.
Correct.
So
100% agree on that part.
cool. Well, I'm glad to have been here. So thank you again.
I think all the topics all together are so different and so good. The combination of all the webinar topics that we have put together, right?
Correct.
I'm patting myself on the back and all of you, team.
Hey, we have to, because you know what, especially in this day and age, we have to.
Yeah, and I'm talking about from the webinar 1 series from last week, the topic from last night and now, really.
And what an amazing resource! What an amazing resource to the community. I really need to plug in so I can get those dates from you, especially and promote it, because I cast a wide net. I really do, but it's just paying attention to. But I was traveling this time, and I was just like, I was checked out.
Are you good with evaluation? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. You have more respondents. We have only 7, I think, attendees, huh? Okay. And Shaheen and Joseph seem to be attending several. Have attended several.
I think Shaheen is attending since day 1, and Joseph as well is attending at least since day 2.
Yes. Okay, so it's just going to be me and Manju tomorrow. Suchi, are you attending as a participant tomorrow?
If it's required, I can attend that. No issue.
It's not required. Is it required, Manju? Give her a break.
I would love
I don't know. It's Manju's call. Manju's call.
Manju, you're
Are you talking? You're muted.
yeah. Manju, you're
Okay.
on unmute.
Yes,
Yeah.
Shuchi is registered.
Oh,
Okay.
she's registered.
I got these names. I just registered everybody. Actually, I added Suchi today because, I had to pay for everything today. So I
Okay.
went ahead
Yeah.
and paid for it. So that's what it is.
But
It's
we are offering this training again in June.
yeah.
We actually have scheduled, so whoever would want to if your schedule does not allow you for tomorrow, don't feel pressured because you can sign up for June, right, Manju?
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. But right
So
now,
don't-
since we have paid 19, I want to make sure we have all of them there. Cora,
Oh.
I know you're more flexible than me when it comes to these things, but I feel if I put in the names of these people based on what Shuchi sent me, and also I knew she doesn't have to actually do anything for our presentation, I thought this might be a good way for her to also experience what we do for the whole day.
No, it's fine.
Yashuan already attended.
Yeah,
Pat
Yasmin
Yeah.
attended. Yeah, she did.
Pat already attended. Yeah.
See, I did not register her either. See, I knew. I could recognize some of the names, so I did not.
Yeah.
So,
Yashuan, Christina, Patch, I've already done this.
attended, yeah.
Yes.
And I was gonna say, there's so many people I can recommend for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
June
but
12th.
we have another date, Patch, and we'll send to you. We'll send
Please
you
send me, give me, and I need to give it to Carmela because
Yeah.
I have people who keep me straight on my
Yeah.
calendar.
This is in June. June 13, Manju, is it?
12th.
June 12. June 12.
Okay, good. That's good to know. I'll mark it already. And that's also mental health first aid.
Mental
Yeah.
health first aid.
Same thing.
Yes.
All right, I'll market it. Okay.
Okay.
If you give me a flyer on Facebook, I can have my team put it on. There's several pages I'm involved with that's Asian community oriented, and
Yes.
I'll be happy to circulate that.
That's good. Okay.
Okay.
You know what, Cora? I have to eat. I'm hungry.
Oh,
Okay, one more thing, Manju.
I know,
Have
I
you
know.
sent the link for tomorrow? Have you already sent the link for tomorrow? Because I haven't received any link.
You received, actually, I just added yours today, so I'm going to send one now immediately.
You will
after.
receive it as a participant, but they all
Participant,
receive it through the Behavioral Health Council,
Yeah. Mhm.
Behavioral Mental Health Council. That's
Okay.
through them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't have to create the evaluation form for tomorrow's. Yeah,
So,
yeah. I remember the
Yeah,
training
you-
has itself.
Cora, she
Yeah.
has to. We have to have evaluation for tomorrow too.
We have to have evaluation.
Yes, every webinar needs evaluation.
Okay,
But
go.
I
Tomorrow-
remember
Look at him,
the
look at him.
training has its evaluation.
No, they do not. Actually, you have to create one
You know why, Yashuan?
because
we just
OCMH.
have an evaluation because we worked with Mental Health America of Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, and they have a grant and they do their evaluation. That's
Okay.
when you attended. This one,
Oh,
although they
OCMH.
helped us, it is not. Is it part of their? Will they include this as part of their training?
No, this is
No.
external. We are responsible for the whole thing.
Yes.
And since
Okay,
it's
okay.
part of the OCMH, we have to do that.
so
Sorry,
I have to
Yasmin.
create
Yeah.
another one. Okay.
Sorry, Yashuan, we're not done yet with
What?
you.
What
So
can
you-
Grandpa eat for
It's okay.
dinner?
Why don't you
So
ask
I
all
will
of them?
send a link for you.
Hear you.
Them,
They can
You
hear
tell
you.
me.
not
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Okay,
Hey,
Yasin,
Can
create
I be
the
excused
evaluation.
already? Can I be excused? I have to leave.
Okay.
I
So
love
Yasin, just create an evaluation form and send me the link over the email. And then if you're available tomorrow, then it's fine. If not, then we can take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. Have a good Sunday
Good night,
without
everyone.
us bothering you.
thank you so much, everyone.
Yasin, you did a great job, and we'll connect on the Facebook if you're available. And you are in Cincinnati, I'm in Cincinnati. We'll catch up sometime.
deal.
It was great working with you. You are my backup plan for the whole webinar series.
Actually,
I can
they
rely
did
on you,
good.
and it's grateful that you are the part of this team. And I am too.
Look here.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Bye.
that's bad.
He.